Hello all. This is Jacobson and this is a brief retelling of the 20th and 21st episodes, the 11th season of the zombie series The Walking Dead. For the retelling of the previous episodes, see the links in the description. As soon as this video gets 300 likes, I will release the sequel. Enjoy watching it.
Judith reminds us of her mother's words that the living would be nothing without the walking dead. Now we have the meaning of life and reasons to connect. It is no longer possible to be completely alone in the world, and in order for life to make sense, you need to find something worth living for in such a gloomy world. And Ezekiel finds Carol at the diner packing a bag to take with her when she leaves. When Carol turns to talk to Ezekiel, he's gone, and the broomstick men are trying to kidnap her. Carol goes on the run and hides in the Commonwealth. The broomstick men attack Daryl, and Daryl kills one of them. While he fights off the second, the first person turns. Carol, trying to hide, enters the house and discovers that Daryl was attacked. The transformed one bites the second attacker, and Daryl kills them with a blow to the head. Yumika interrupts Pamela during a business meeting, demanding to tell her what's going on with her friends and family. Pamela informs Yumika that all her friends have been expelled. To reunite with his friends, Yumika will have to blame Eugene. When Yumika doubts, Pamela threatens Tommy's life. Daryl wants to turn to Mercer for help, but Carol doesn't trust him. They decide to find Lance inside the Commonwealth and use him to get information about where Pamela took the children. Yumika goes straight to Tommy. She is worried about her brother's life. Tommy tells Yumika to give up Eugene to save the rest of the group and himself. Yumika understands that she cannot accept such a decision, and she is ashamed that her brother can accept it. Yumika runs into Coney, who followed the man who tried to kidnap her to the hospital after she stabbed him. Coney tells Yumika not to follow the man, as it is too dangerous, and that she will follow him if he leads her to the children. Connie and Yumika say goodbye, knowing that this may be the last meeting. Daryl and Carol break into a prison inside the Commonwealth to find Lance. When they get to his room, they find a zombified Sebastian, whom Daryl immediately kills. Carol demands that Lance tell her where Pamela hid the children, but Lance says he will only show her the place where the children are. Daryl tells Carol to leave with Lance when the guards sneak up on them from behind and start attacking them. Carol doesn't want to do this, but walks out the door, taking one last look at Daryl before leaving. Pamela is informed that Lance has escaped, and when she checks Lance's room, she discovers that Walker Sebastian has been killed, and there is a coin in Lance's head. Carol and Lance go on the run, pursued by the Commonwealth Army. Yumika comes to Eugene and tells him that she has no choice but to do what Pamela wants. He says that everything is fine and that he is worried about their friends and they should do something to help them. She thinks it's hopeless, but Eugene is adamant. Lance takes Carol with him to a previously Commonwealth infrastructure project. The project was curtailed after numerous collapses and declared unstable. Inside, Lance is almost destroyed by walkers until Carol saves his life. Walkers pounce on Carol, and Lance abandons her for his own safety. But Carol eventually manages on her own. They run away, return outside, but they are overtaken by the Commonwealth Army. Daryl stays and destroys the army. Carol's heart is grateful that she has seen Daryl again, but at the same time is hardened by Lance's act. Yumika is forced to act as a prosecutor against Eugene. Pamela watches Yumika give a speech at Eugene's trial. Yumika begins her speech, and although it starts with what Pamela wanted, she gets confused and says she is defending Eugene because he was wrongly accused. Pamela gives her a death stare. Yumika throws Pamela's speech at her feet. Lance informs Daryl and Carol that there is a train coming out of town. Daryl tells him they don't need him anymore. Lance starts to panic and says that they can work together, that this is a new era for them. But Daryl and Carol disagree with him. Lance really only cares about himself and has become a danger to Daryl and Carol. This is the end of the road for Lance. Daryl tells Lance that he can go into the woods alone or Daryl will kill him. When Lance leaves, he turns around and points the gun at Daryl and Carol. Carol, without batting an eye, shoots Lance in the neck with an arrow. Lance Hornsby dies, and Carol and Daryl get in the car and drive away. The Commonwealth Army is transporting all the friends and acquaintances of Eugene, Daryl, and Carol. The army injects them with something to calm them down during the trip. Judith reminds us how important it is to keep hope alive. Without hope, the struggle for survival will be meaningless. Maggie, part of a group that was abducted by the Commonwealth Army. She manages to break the zipper binding her wrist. She frees Gabriel, who frees Rosita, but when they are about to jump out of the back of the truck, Maggie catches. Maggie takes the soldier's machine gun, he shoots the driver and smashes the truck. The soldiers are dead, and Maggie falls out of the truck and watches as a Commonwealth caravan passes by, in which all her family and friends were. Gabriel and Rosita lose consciousness from jumping out of the truck and, waking up, find that walkers are trying to eat them. After killing the zombies, they hear that everyone is looking for them. Ezekiel, Negan, Kelly and don't wake up and discuss where Gabriel, Rosita and Maggie might be. A man gets on their bus and informs everyone that they won't see their children if they don't follow the rules. Rule number 1, no one has a name. When Negan's group splits into 2 parts, everyone manages to stay together, except for Annie, who is taken to another place. Maggie is left alone after being separated from Gabriel and Rosita. The child, a walker, is being chased by Maggie, who can't bring herself to kill him. She just avoids him and speeds up her pace. Rosita wants to separate from Gabriel and follow the column, but Gabriel refuses. When the walkers attack, Rosita dislocates her arm, and Gabriel has to put it back in place. In the distance, Rosita hears the train whistle and starts running towards it. Daryl and Carol watch as the train pulls into the camp with jeeps and motorcycles. While they are watching, the soldiers bring all the captured horses that have been assigned to Category 2 and put them on the train. Daryl and Carol are going to follow the train to save Coney and the kids. They steal a jeep and they manage to get ahead of the train. Now we just have to wait. Maggie hears in the distance the whistle of a train approaching a motorcycle. A motorcyclist, a Commonwealth soldier, stops next to Maggie, who takes him by surprise. Maggie kills a soldier, and at that moment a baby walker tries to attack her. She hugs him to her to put an end to his suffering in life. Daryl and Carol drive up in a jeep and find Maggie sitting in the middle of the road, holding a dead zombie baby in her arms. Carol comforts Maggie when Gabriel and Rosita stumble upon them. Daryl finds a dying Commonwealth soldier and asks him where the train is going because he desperately wants to find the children. Gabriel recognizes him from the church before the fall. The man tells them that their friends have been expelled and will work on the railway. He explains to them that they have to follow the train to find them. He tells them that the designation 2 for Coney means that no one will ever see her again. Kelly and Ezekiel watch as 3 people who tried to escape from a labor camp are shot. The train gets stuck when the switch doesn't want to move, and the conductor tries to radio Outpost 22. He is stopped by Maggie, who holds a gun to his face. One of the soldiers realizes that something is wrong, and shots are fired between Daryl, Maggie and Carol and the Commonwealth Army. The soldier grabs Coney and puts a gun to her head. Coney strikes and she manages to escape. The soldier jumps on the motorcycle, but Daryl is right behind him. When the soldier crashes, Daryl deals with him. Carol and Maggie question the train conductor, who tells them there is a map on the train. When everyone goes to see the map, the train conductor kills himself out of fear of being caught helping Daryl and Carol's group. In the labor camp, Negan talks to Ezekiel, who still hasn't forgiven Negan. Negan needs Iskel's help to give the people in the labor camp a reason for hope, so that they all rise up and escape. Negan has a plan, but he knows he won't make it out alive. Rosita tells the group that radium is working again. Rosita communicates by radio with Outpost 22, saying that the train was ambushed and she needs help. On the radio, they are informed that there are no free patrols to help, and they give them coordinates on how to get to Outpost 22, and inform them that this is a former settlement where people lived called Alexandria. Maggie's group realize that their close friends have been taken there. Maggie informs everyone that Pamela underestimates them and they will get in there and save their friends.